Right, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Fly Fishing Rutland Water. If you like this video, please remember to hit the like button, and I would be delighted if you would subscribe to the channel to see more of my fishy adventures. I've been fishing here for nearly 3 hours now. I'm down at the bay just round from New Zealand Point. It's been a hard morning. I've fished up and down the bank. Now the only place I saw some fish was moving off this point here around the tree. They would come up and feed off the surface periodically. So just as I was getting ready to pack up, I thought I'm going to go and fish right next to that tree, throw a dry daddy longlegs in the water and see what happens. The fish came round, I had a take that I then lost, and then I caught one and landed it. But it was a smashing fish, probably in the 3 to 4 pound range. And I don't take them out the net, and I don't have scales, so really for me it's all about getting them back in the water. The size is incidental. You can kind of make a judgment about that when you see the film. Now it's gone completely calm. But my next challenge is to see, can I get a fish to take in a flat calm? I hope I don't have to do that. I'm hoping that the wind comes back up again, but let's just give it a go. As I was watching the fish, I kind of noticed that the place I had to be was right next to this tree, because the fish were literally coming up to one point here and then turning around and going back again, and then going out into the deep water. So they're kind of going out in the deep water, coming in and along the bank, and then going back out to the deep water again. I've been watching them as they've been feeding, and that seems to be the pattern that they're taking. So if I can get a dry fly into this spot here, I've got a chance of just getting one as they go past. They were definitely interested because I had 2 fish in the space of probably around 2 casts. Now that fly's sitting in exactly the right spot, and I can just see a couple of damselflies quite near it. Now, there's no movement in the water whatsoever at the moment. I'm seeing some ripple coming off the point, which might indicate that the wind is starting to get up again. But that fly's out there. I'm really curious to see if they will come up and take a terrestrial or terrestrial imitation. Unlike some of the other days, today the takes have been quite positive. I think it's because the fish are naturally feeding on dry daddy longlegs. Again, they're getting blown off this hedgerow behind me. That's the wind coming, that could be good. And all we have to do now is wait for a group of fish to come past. I've been fishing this fly pretty much static. I know that the spot that it's currently sitting in is where the fish have been coming past. I don't need to go out that far. Oh, if you look in there, but there are tiny pin fry moving around. Now the pin fry are starting to get a bit larger now. We're kind of moving from that period where it's pin fry into proper fry. And then it gets easier to get them to take because you can use larger flies. Now that fish came right out of the water there, quite far out. That is not actually that far away from my fly. I never saw that fish. Yes, it is. Nice. Fabulous. That's a first, that someone recognises me from a boat. This YouTube channel's getting a wee bit insane, quite frankly. I never really thought it would get the popularity that it's getting, but I'm delighted that it is. The wind's been all over the place, but when I looked at the weather forecast this morning, I thought the wind, although there's not much of a wind, it might be nice for this particular spot. Now last time I was here I was getting them on nymphs. Now I'm getting them on dry daddies. It seems to be dry daddies are the only fly that I can get fish on at the moment. I've tried everything else. I've tried nymphs, I've tried buzzers, I've tried, you name it, I've tried it, but they won't look at it. The only thing they seem to want to go after is a dry daddy. I think it's because they're on pin fry, and the dry daddy at least looks like something that they are eating naturally, and then they're obviously coming in, grabbing it as they're motoring on through the pin fry shoals. Though, as I was showing you there, the pin fry are looking more like fry now. There's another shoal going past there. But they start to look like the size of flies that you could imitate with a pattern. A damsel nymph flying past there as well. Now these fish are switching off and on. I fished for the first couple of hours and saw nothing, and then I saw some fish moving in around this area, but only in this area. Then they switched off again. So then I went all the way up to New Zealand Point, tried all those different spots up there with different dries. Didn't try the dry daddy. Fished right off the point. Hardly saw fish. The only place I've seen fish this morning is in this particular spot. Now, the last two fish that took, I was able to see the fish further down the bank before they come and took the fly. I've never had one come and just take it. It's been shoals of fish that have been moving through. Now there's nothing moving on the surface at the moment, so we need them to come back on the surface. Oh, they're in the area. Right, let's get that fly. That fly is in the right spot. Now where that fish was moving, it's moving up towards my fly. This is what happened last time. I saw the boil to my right, and then the fish progressively moved up and then took. Now it was interesting because the last one, the fish that took, wasn't the one that I saw moving, so there must be a number of fish in this area. So if you see one moving, it must be indicative that there are a lot of fish in this area and they're starting to feed. Now I can see that fly very, very clearly, but there's nothing near it at the moment. And the fish hasn't boiled in the area. There's quite a few naturals on the water as well, terrestrials that are getting blown on. Now that should bring the fish on. There's a nice terrestrial over there. That looks like a sedge. And if there are terrestrials on the water, then, I mean, these dry daddy imitations look like, they don't just look like daddies. They could be sedges, they could be damsels, they could be all sorts. Excellent. That's exactly where I want it. Don't need to cast that far out. The visibility is really good round here, so if the fish see the fly, they'll come up and take it. And we're getting some of that wind back again, thankfully. Ah, there's one there, literally right in front of me now. I'm not going to move that fly because that probably means there's a whole bunch of fish just moving through here, but that's just the only one we've seen. Now I'm deliberately not going to show you the fish that I caught until the end of the video, because I don't know what the footage is like. Hopefully I'll be able to cobble something together from it. I think I did get a nice release shot of it though. The trouble is when you take your eye off the fly, there are natural terrestrials about and you might get confused and be looking at the wrong one. There's another fish out there. So they're still here. I'm also casting very smoothly this morning, which is nice. Feels quite comfortable. I don't feel like I'm having to force it this morning for a change. I get good days and bad days. Some days it just seems to be nice and easy. Other days it gets difficult. I think the wind helps. Having the wind in the right direction helps with the casting quite a lot. There we go. That was nice. I'm happy with that. I kind of know what amount of line I need to throw out comfortably for this spot, and that was quite comfortable. Come on, fish. One, come on, wind. Two, come on, fish. But it just shows you, I mean, you just have to be in the right place at the right time. This spot has been dead for most of the morning. The only place I've seen fish rising was here. So I thought, one last chance. Before you go home, throw a fly in here and see if you can get one to take. Oh, that's lovely. The wind's coming back up now. That's what we need. That's what we need. I have had them take the fly when it's being brought in gently. I don't know if you can see that fly in the water, but it's sitting up really nicely. There's a damsel who's trying to mate with my artificial fly. Right, that's wonderful. The wind is now starting. That will give us a chance. The only problem I have now is I've not had any lunch today. I'm starving. I think I've been out here since about 10 o'clock. I was late getting started because I wasn't really planning on fishing. I just made one of those last minute decisions to come out. And I'm obviously glad that I did because I really want to, probably if the nicest, if not second nicest fish of the season so far. This is the conditions that were perfect this morning. When the wind was blowing just this little ripple It seemed to be creating a nice current, bringing the fish up. The wind is also really nice. I really wished I got that take on camera. It was fabulous. It boiled and took the fly, and then it came right out of the water afterwards. And that's when I saw it was a nice fish. I could see the silhouette of the fish against the water and the sky, and it was big. Not massive, big. Oh, that's it. Oh, it didn't take. Oh. Fish boiled at the fly, but didn't connect. Sometimes I think they actually hit the fly. Hopefully we've got, bad cast. Right, I'll show you the fly when I'm here. Little small foam daddy long legs. These have been working now for, probably I've now been fishing these flies for a good 3 weeks, and now like earlier in the day I can see a shoal of fish to the right of me and they're heading up this way. So all I have to do is get that fly in the right spot where I know they're going to come past and just leave it there. I won't have to do anything. I won't have to tweak it, fish it, it'll just sit there in the water and the fish will take it. Now that's sitting in exactly the right spot. Now I wonder sometimes, do the fish actually come up and hit the fly but don't take it? If it's a daddy longlegs on the surface, do they come up and hit it like a bass would a bait fish on the surface and then come back and take it after they've drowned it? If they are doing that, that would explain all the, what I would call the false takes that I've been getting. It's a fabulous way of fishing this. I think it's now my very, very favourite way of fishing, even more so than static buzzers. Now they don't seem to have come up. I saw them moving further down, but I haven't seen them again. Oh, that fish is right near where I am. That fish is very close. That was about 2-3 feet away from where my fly is. Please, come on, take the fly, take the fly. I've got to hope there's another fish alongside that one. They're moving together. Now that one boiled and took something about 2 feet away from my fly, but it never came back and looked at the fly. There's another one further out. It'll be just my luck that the two that I've had already will be the only two that will take properly. There's another fish further out in the water, so they are clearly in this bay. I'm not wading today at all. There's no benefit to be had from wading. The extra height that I get from being on the rocks near, being a little bit more above the water, means that my fly's catching the wind and taking it out. Whereas if I'm down there in the water, I'm lower down, I'm catching all this grass. And I really try to avoid wading on Rutland as much as I possibly can. I don't really like it. I quite enjoy wading when the conditions or the spot demand it. So somewhere like Barnsdale Road End, I'll always wade there because it's the only way you can fish that spot. But a spot like this, don't need to. Now, the other thing I've found is that when the wind goes, rather than trying to force the cast to get extra, I'm finding that when there's no wind, it's actually easier if I cast more delicately and gently. Just let the rod throw the fly out. There's an awful lot of terrestrials in the water though. This must be a really consistent spot for dry fly fishing. I don't really fish this spot much because it's on the complete opposite side of the reservoir from where I live. But I really like this spot. I fish are anything but consistent this morning. Like on so many previous expeditions, it's like a light. 1 minute they switch on, the next minute they switch off. And today they've been more switched off than switched on. It's interesting how so many damsels will come up and have a look at my fly. Oh, that fish is to the left of me. It's in the area. Keep an eye on the fly because it could turn around and come back in again, or it could have a friend who's following along behind. I think it was easier when we had more of that ripple. I think that when there was that consistent wind blowing up the bay, it was kind of creating the current that was making the fish come round and feed consistently. Because that wind has dropped, we're not getting that current, which means the fish aren't feeding consistently. I've seen the odd one obviously, and had a couple that have looked at the fly, but Not with the same level of aggression that they were this morning. I really should have filmed when I came down here, when I came back to this spot. But I was pretty much resigned to the fact that I just wasn't going to catch anything, and I didn't think it was worthwhile filming when there wasn't a story to tell. Now, earlier this morning I would see fish boiling down in that area down there, and then about a minute or two later, bang, they would be taken, because they've obviously just moved up. But they weren't showing on the surface all the way up. They were appearing and disappearing, and I guess only coming up to feed when there's something on the surface to make it worth their while. I think at this time of the year it really is opportunistic fishing. Right there, fish right in front of me. Now I'm going to try to cast into that one. I haven't done that today. There's a fish to my left. I'm going to see if I can just put it in that area, a bit further left than I've been fishing. So let's just bring the fly round a little bit and fish a little bit further up. Now that's in the spot, exactly in the spot. Oh, there they are. They've shown down there now that they should be moving up. Now I can see the ripples in the water that's betraying the fish. The fish aren't on the surface, but I can see as they move under the water, the ripples there. So I've just got to watch that fly carefully, because they're not that far away now. They're not far away. And there's a nice terrestrial that's just in the vicinity of my fly as well. Come on, fish. Just as those fish were coming along, the wind's dropped and it's gone flat calm again. So it's been a good morning. Lost one, caught one. Turned quite a few while the camera's been on, but they haven't taken properly. I think that's mainly because we've lost the wind, and when it's more like a flat calm, the fish can see the fly a little bit too clearly, and I think it must just spook them a little bit so they don't take properly. Well, thanks again for coming out fishing with me. Another lovely morning fly fishing on Rutland water. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I caught earlier. Well, this has been a really hard morning. I've been fishing for ages and getting nothing. And then I just managed, oh, come off. One she's gone right past. It's taken. Excellent. That sipped right off the surface. Excellent. That was a brilliant take. Oh, it's an overwintered fish as well. It has not been easy at all this morning. The fish are in this one little spot, and they will take a surface fly. Fabulous. I don't even have my net with me, so this is even going to get even more funny. I don't know where the net is. This is a cracking fish. I wish I had my camera on. I haven't even got my net with me. I didn't bother bringing it because I didn't think I was going to catch anything, so this one I'll just have to unhook. I'll have to go around the tree. I'll follow this fish because I think I want to see if I can find the net. Oh, it's there. I can't get it. Got the net now. Oh, there's a lesson there. Always have the net in the water with you. But a weed on that line, which is not going to help things. I was telling they're decent fish just with the way that they play, and this one is a decent fish. Oh yeah. Right. That weed isn't helping. There we go. Nice. Off the surface. I've dropped my rod again. I've got to stop doing that. Oh, that hook came straight out in the net. But that's a lovely fish. Let's revive it a little bit because I played that one for a little while. Seems to be okay. Seems to be fine. It's over £3, so it's a cracking fish. Now let's get it back nice and safely. There it goes. Going a little bit slowly, but it is going back. Yes, safely returned.